Advaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, let's begin. So we were we were doing prayers by Shukadeva Goswami and we will continue. Yeah. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbha Yavana Kashadaya Ye Anya Chapa Payatapashraya Shraya Shuddhyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, members of the Khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful activities can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Puppet, who wants to read? Hare Krishna. Who wants to read the puppet?
Hare
Yes.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Kiratha, a province of old Bharatavarsha, mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. Generally, the Kiratas are known as the aboriginal tribes of India, and in modern days, the Santal Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur might comprise the old province named Kiratha. Huna, the area of East Germany and part of Russia, is known as the province of the Hunas. Accordingly, sometimes a kind of hill tribe is known as the Hunas. Andhra, a province in southern India mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata, it is still extant under the same name. Pulinda, it is mentioned in the Mahabharata, that is, the inhabitants of the province of the name Pulinda. This country was conquered by Bhimasena and Sahadeva. The Greeks are known as Pulindas, and it is mentioned in the Vanaparva of Mahabharata that the non Vedic race of this part of the world would rule over the world. This Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharata, and the inhabitants were classified amongst the Kshatriya kings. But later on, due to the giving up of the Brahminical culture, they were mentioned as Mlechas. Just as those who are not followers of the Islamic culture are called Kafirs, and those who are not followers of the Christian culture are called heathens. Abira. This name also appears in the Mahabharata, both in the Sabha Parva and Bhishma Parva. It is mentioned that this province was situated on the river Saraswati in Sindh. The modern Sindh province formerly extended on the on the other side of the Arabian Sea, and all the inhabitants of that province were known as Abiras. They were under the domination of Maharaja Yudhishthira, and according to the statements of Markandeya, the Mlechas of this part of the world would also rule over Bharata. Later on, this proved to be true as in the case of Pulindas. On behalf of the Pulindas, Alexander the Great conquered India, and on behalf of the Abiras, Muhammad Ghori conquered India. These Abiras were also formerly Kshatriyas within the Brahminical culture, but they gave up the connection. The Kshatriyas who were afraid of Parashurama and had hidden themselves in the Caucasian hilly regions later on became known as the Abhiras, and the place they inhabited was known as Abhira Desha. Sumbas or Kankas, the inhabitants of the Kanka province of Old Bharata mentioned in the Mahabharata. Yavanas. Yavana was the name of one of the sons of Maharaja Yayati, who was given part of the world known as Turkey to rule. Therefore, the Turks are Yavanas due to being descendants of Maharaja Yavana. The Yavanas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahminical culture, they became Mlecha Yavanas. Descriptions of the Yavanas are in the Mahabharata Adi Parva 85:34. Another prince called Turvasu, also known as Yavana, and his country was conquered by Sahadeva, one of the Pandavas. The western Yavana joined with Duryodhana in the battle of Kurukshetra under the pressure of Karna. It was therefore it was also foretold that these Yavanas also would conquer India, and it proved to be true. Kasa, the inhabitants of the Kasa Desa, are mentioned in the Mahabharata Drona Parva. Those who have a stunted growth of hair on the upper lip are generally called Kasas. As such, the Kasa are the Mongolians, the Chinese, and others who are so designated. The above mentioned historical names are different nations of the world. Even those who are constantly engaged in sinful acts are all corrigible to the standard of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Jesus Christ and Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. And from the version of Srila Shukadeva Goswami, it appears that instead of running a godless civilization in the present context of the world situation, if the leadership of world affairs is entrusted to the devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has already been started, then by the grace of the Almighty Lord, there can be a thorough change of heart in human beings all over the world because devotees of the Lord are able authorities to effect such a change by purifying the dust worn minds of the people in general. The politicians of the world may remain in their respective positions because the pure devotees of the Lord are not interested in political leadership or diplomatic implications. The devotees are interested only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda and that the valuable life of a human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed. If the politicians, therefore, would be guided by the good counsel of the devotees, then certainly there would be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees as shown by Lord Chaitanya. As Shukadeva Goswami began his prayer by discussing the word Yat Kirtanam, so also Lord Chaitanya recommended that simply by glorifying the Lord's holy name, a tremendous change of heart can take place by which the complete misunderstanding between the human nation created by politicians can at once be extinguished. And after the extinction of the fire of misunderstanding, other profits will follow. The destination is to go back home, back to Godhead, as we have several times discussed in these pages. According to the cult of devotion,
Mataji, do you want me to continue, or if anybody is interested, can also recite?
sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. According to the cult of devotion, generally known as Vaishnava, Mataji, can you scroll a bit, Mataji? I'm not able to down. Yeah, as the Vaishnava cult, there is no but against anyone's advancing in the matter of God realization. A Vaishnava is powerful enough to turn into a Vaishnava, even the Kirata, etc., as above mentioned. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.32, it is said by the Lord that there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord, even for those who are lowborn or women, Sudras or Vaishyas. And by becoming a devotee, everyone is eligible to return home back to Godhead. The only qualification is that one take shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord who has thorough knowledge in the transcendental science of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people and may reclaim them by purification of heart. Though a person be even the most sinful man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava therefore can accept a bona fide disciple from any part of the world without any consideration of caste and creed and promote him by regulated principles to the status of a pure Vaishnava was transcendental to the Brahminical culture. The system of caste or Varnashrama Dharma is no longer regular even amongst the so-called followers of the system, nor is it now possible to re-establish the institutional function in the present context of social, political, and economic revolution. Without any reference to the particular custom of a country, one can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritually, and there is no hindrance to the transcendental process. So, by the order of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita can be preached all over the world, reclaiming all persons willing to accept the transcendental cult. Such cultural propaganda by the devotees will certainly be accepted by all persons who are reasonable and inquisitive, without any particular bias for the custom of the country. The Vaishnava never accepts another Vaishnava on the basis of birthright, just as he never thinks of the deity of the Lord in a temple as an idol. And to remove all doubts in this connection, Srila Sukadev Goswami has invoked the blessings of the Lord, who is all-powerful, Prabha Vishnave Namaha, as the all-powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotee in devotional activities of the Archana, his form as the worshipable deity in the temple. Similarly, the body of a pure Vaishnava changes transcendently at once when he gives himself up to the service of the Lord and is trained by a qualified Vaishnava. The injunction of Vaishnava regulation in this connection runs as follows. Archye Vishnav Sheeladir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhihi Shri Vishnur Namni Shabda Samanya Buddhihi, etc. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master as an ordinary man, nor should one consider pure Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste, etc. Padma Purana. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all-powerful, can under any and every circumstance accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through his bona fide manifestation as a spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than the Varnashramites, and he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social order of life, but that he is the eternal servant of the Lord who maintains the damsels of Vrindavana, Lord Krishna. That is the way of self-realization. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So, a very detailed purport. Everything is there actually. So, this is a very beautiful shloka. So, Kiratas, Hunas, Andhras, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, and Kasa. All of these along with Anyacha Papa, right? All the others who have committed or who commit sinful activities. So all of these people are sinful people. That's what Prabhupada is saying, right? They have given up their Brahminical culture and that's why they have become sinful. Right? They have completely given up their Brahminical culture. But what everybody, all the people here mentioned, but um, the shloka says Prabha Vishnave Nama because Lord Vishnu is very powerful, right? Just by taking shelter of Apashraya means people who've taken the shelter of the Lord, just by taking the shelter of pure devotees, Shuddhyanti Tasmai, they can become purified. Completely, they can become purified. Can you imagine how much ever sinful reactions one has committed, just by taking shelter of pure devotees, they all can become purified. That's the whole point here. Right? So what we understand, Prabhupada also writes logically, right, in material way, which place all these people belong to, right, and who is their origin, the source of their dynasty, and etc. etc. So here it's all mentioned outside India. Mostly they're all outside India, right? Germany, Russia, uh, everywhere. So this is in India, southern India, and right. So Greeks, right. So all what we understand from this is, and it is also said. He says somewhere they were all under Yudhishthira. They were all ruled by Yudhishthira. So that means Bharata Varsha is considered entire world, no, the entire planet Earth was considered Bharata Varsha, right? All the countries, all the regions, including Antarctica, including Greenland, everything was considered under Bharata Varsha. The whole map of the world, the globe map, if you see, everything was coming under Yudhishthira's rule, right? Even Parikshit Maharaj, he was also an emperor. So entire planet Earth was under his rule. All the seas, all the oceans, Pacific Ocean, Arabia, whatever, right? Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, all the oceans, Bay of Bengal, everything was under the rule of the emperor, right? So only after the what after Parikshit Maharaj ruled, and after this what is that called, the king, this, the Vedic way of ruling completely gone, went away, then only when the world started to get divided. The world started to get divided into different countries, and different whatever nations and everything. And then they started to give up their material, their Brahminical culture, right? Everybody, including Greeks, Russians, everybody was following Vedic culture. Can you imagine? Right, where under the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj, under the rule of Parikshit Maharaj, under the rule of Rishabhadev, under the rule of Bharat Maharaj, every single person was following Brahminical culture, a Vedic way of life. No meat eating, right? No intoxication. They were following the four regulative principles. They were having Dvija, right? The Brahminical thread. They used to chant the holy names. So all of them, they used to chant their Gayatris. Everybody used to follow, including Yavanas, right? Everybody used to follow. But after some time, when no, gradually they started to give up the Brahminical culture, and they started to be called by the name Lechas, right? Lechas. And that's when these different countries started to forget Krishna completely. Only in India, that too in some parts of India only, predominantly there is the worship of our Vedic way of worship, and all is still happening, right? That's what Prabhupada was saying, no? In India, I thought, okay, I went to preach, everybody said, we know Krishna already, you're nobody to tell us about Krishna. At least they knew who was Krishna, right? But in the West, America, Greek, Russia, they knew, nobody knew anything. That's why Prabhupada talks about Jesus Christ and Muhammad. Where is it? He took those names, right? They offered service. Yeah, see here. So Jesus Christ and Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. That means what? They are representatives of the Lord. That is Krishna, because we have only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? On behalf means they came as representatives of Krishna. So wherever Jesus Christ says, I'm the son of the Lord, I'm messenger of the Lord, he is actually messenger of who? The Lord has a name, and we know the name. Krishna is his name, right? And why did they see Jesus Christ, Muhammad? They never asked people to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, because of the kind of environment people were in. They never preached in India, right? At least not to typical Vedic civilization in India, right? So they adjusted their preaching according to the situation and time, place, and circumstance. Example is Buddha is Lord Vishnu himself, right? Lord Krishna himself, but still he came and told Vedas do not exist, soul doesn't exist. After we die, he propagated the philosophy of Shunyavadi. After we die, everything is over, right? So the animal, why? Because animal sacrifice was happening to the extreme level, and in the name of Vedic sacrifices, right? So animals have soul. Once you sacrifice them in the Vedic way, they will, the soul will get a rebirth in a human form of life, and it will get moksha, right? And in that name, they used to, in that way, they used to open slaughterhouses, and they used to just mercilessly kill animals for sense gratification, for eating. There was no involvement of Vedic mantras or anything, right? So to stop that, Buddha came and told Vedas do not even exist. What Vedic ways are you talking about? Soul doesn't even exist. What moksha are you talking about? Right? So he propagated Shunyavada. Same way, Jesus Christ and Muhammad also propagated their own way of purification, but the level was different. We have so many such purushas who come, right, saints who've come in the world to propagate different way, including who is the Shankaracharya, who came and told God doesn't have a form, but he is Lord Shiva himself, a great devotee of the Lord, coming and saying Lord doesn't have a form. Why? Again, to adjust his preachings according to the time, place and circumstance, right? Because Shunyavada was at the highest level that time, because of Buddhism. He wanted to come and elevate people to the next level, saying, no, God is there, Vedas exist, everything is there, but God doesn't have a form. If you meditate, you will become God. Lot better than Shunyavadism, right? Mayavadism is lot better than Shunyavadism. And then when people started to take up Mayavadism, they have come to our next level, right? Promotion. That's why Madhvacharya came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, and because the people were ready to accept, Krishna has a form, that philosophy, they propagated that philosophy. In fact, Madhvacharya propagated Krishna has a form, yes, but we are different from the Lord. We can never be equal to the Lord. We are always servant of the Lord, right? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and even more he elevated the people from that philosophy to saying Achintya Beda Abheda Tattva. That is, no, we are qualitatively equal with the Lord, but we are quantitatively different. Right, we have the same qualities, but we are quantitatively different. We are quantitatively very minute, and Krishna is very huge. Right, so according to time, place, circumstance, these different nations, their culture, right, they had developed their own culture, they had developed their own lifestyle, giving initially it was all one standard Vedic way of living, Brahmanical culture, under the order of devotees, devotee rulers like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj, no Parikshit Maharaj, etc., etc. But when they went back home, back to Godhead, everything started to just fall off, right? And nothing was in its place. So that's when they started to give up their culture and go behind sense gratification and started to develop their own cultural way of living, Vedic life, their own lifestyle and etc., etc. According to that particular nation, that particular lifestyle, that particular mindset, everything, different saints went in different ways to elevate them to the position of goodness. However, whatever, if they were in tamoguna, say they were in tivra tamoguna, right, too much tamoguna, they wanted to elevate them to at least madhya, right, or middle level of tamoguna, so that they can get ready to elevate themselves to rajoguna, right? And if they were in rajoguna, different personalities like Jesus Christ, etc., etc., went them to elevate them to at least, maybe if they were in the lowest level of rajoguna, maybe to the highest level. If they were in the highest level of rajoguna, they wanted to elevate them to the lowest level of rajoguna, so that they can prepare themselves to go to goodness, right, or the sattva guna. So accordingly, Krishna arranged for his devotees. Krishna sent his devotees to propagate the cult, right? And ultimately, nama sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranavo dukkha shamanas tam namami harim param. But ultimately, if by chanting the holy name of the Lord, forget about whichever situation you are in, you might be in the highest level of tamoguna, deeply drenched, entrenched in tamoguna, right, deeply in tamoguna, but just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we need not take promotions to rajoguna and then sattva guna. We can directly go to shuddha sattva guna and become devotees. That is the bonus. Why Prabhupada, so Prabhupada came ultimately for the golden age. Krishna sent Prabhupada to propagate this philosophy, the highest secret or the only path, ultimate path of going back home, back to Godhead, because there's no time now. The golden age of Kali Yuga is coming to an end. Another 10,000 years and it's going to come to an end, right? And after that, it's impossible, right? So that's why Krishna sent Prabhupada to give us the real path, the ultimate path, which does not require promotional stages. You can just at once go to Shuddha Sattva Guna, no matter which stage you are in, which level you are in. Right, so I recently went to Mangalore, no, ISKCON Mangalore. So many Russians were there, right? They cook for the Lord. They are Brahmanic initiated. They do pujari services for the Lord, right? They do kirtan, such beautiful kirtan, even Indian classical singers cannot do, right? Such beautiful kirtan they do. It touches the heart, right? So wherever we are positioned, at once we can go back home, back to Godhead. At once we can go to Shuddha Sattva Guna or Vasudeva state, right? Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabdatam, right? Sattvam Vishuddham, the kind of Sattva Guna that helps us go back home, back to Godhead, is not the normal Sattva Guna, the Tamo, Rajo and Sattva Guna that we are talking about. We have to go to Sattva Guna and go to Shuddha Sattva Guna, that is pure goodness. That is called Vasudeva state, right? Vasudeva got Krishna as his in his heart, right? From Vasudeva's heart only Krishna was transferred to Devaki's heart, and then he was transferred to the womb of Devaki. From Devaki's heart, he was transferred to Devaki's womb, and then he took birth, right? So to get Krishna, what we have to do, we have to, that is called Diksha process. Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, when Vasudeva got Krishna in his heart, that was Diksha process. Getting Krishna from into the heart is Diksha, right? And that is possible only in Vasudeva state, and that's why the state in itself is called Vasudeva state, Shuddha Sattva Guna. And anybody can reach that stage very easily just by Krishna consciousness, right? So that is the crux of today's class. So main points to be highlighted here are transformation of the heart. There are so many different types of sins we commit. We are very sinful, right? So many different types of sins like patakas, right? Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports, it's not just, I mean, a pataka is normal violence or whatever we cause to others for our own benefit. Okay, and then the intention is our own benefit. Next is urupataka. Urupataka means even if we are not getting benefited, it's okay. The other person should not get benefited. So we cause violence and we cause damage to others. Then mahapataka, right? We take the most harshest way to achieve the destruction, right? That is mahapataka, the highest aparad we do. And then atipataka. Atipataka is, even if somebody is doing good to you, you want to do bad to them. Like snakes, no? If you feed snakes milk, they all they can give you is poison. They can't give you anything else. So they will give you poison only, even if you feed them with milk, right? So that is like atipataka. Even if someone is doing good to them, they will go and do bad things to them. That is atipataka. So pataka, urupataka, mahapataka, and atipataka. These are the 4 levels of sins one can commit. Okay, these are the 4 levels of sins one can commit. But apavitro pavitrova. See, the Lord is considered in Ishopanishad, that is said, Krishna is Shuddham Apapa Vidham. Right? Anything, Shuddham means he is so pure, and Apapa Vidham means he is antiseptic. Can you imagine? Antiseptic means anything impure that goes in contact with the Lord immediately becomes pure. Can you imagine? Anything which is impure, which goes in contact with the Lord, immediately becomes pure. Right? So because Krishna has such qualities. Right? So Om Apavitro Pavitrova. It's given in Garuda Puran. Let me open the shloka for you all. See, here it's given in Garuda Puran. Prabhupada quotes in the purports. Om Apavitro Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gato Apiva Yam Smaret Pundarikaksham Sa Bahya Bhyantara Shuchi. See, Bahya Bhyantara Shuchi. So, outside and Antara, right? Inside, external and internal purification happens instantly, even without our knowledge, just by Pundarikaksham. Yes, Maret Pundarikaksham, just by remembering the Lord. Can you imagine? Just by remembering the Lord, Pundarikaksha, Bahya and Antara, both internal and externally, purification starts to happen, even if we are apavitra, even if we are completely impure. This mantra we usually sing, chant, all the pujaris chant before a fire sacrifice. In the temples, if you go for initiation yajnas, marriage yajnas, no, when they perform Narasimha Homa and everything, the first thing they chant, they start this thing, yajna with this. Because we all know we are so impure, we can't chant even mantras properly, right? Pronunciation faults are there. And if you want to pour ghee or butter, a ghee in the yajna, right, that ghee in itself is not pure, right? Even cows are not pure. All, they have just artificially breeded. Right, so even cows are lost today. The original breed of the cows are lost, right? So where do we get ghee from? The pure ghee. Everything is impure, no? So that's why we say everything is impure, but because you are pavitra, you are pure, everything that comes in contact with you also attains the same gati or the destination, right? That is pure. Whatever Krishna's form is, everything that comes in contact with Krishna also attains the same destination or the same state, gati, that is pure. Just by what? Smaret pundarikaksham, just by doing smaranam, remembering the Lord. And bahya, antar bahya, right? The external and internal purification will happen, shuchi will happen, and whatever we offer to the Lord becomes pure in itself, right? That's why in frozen countries, right, even some devotees were there from I think UK or something, where in winters it was so cold that they don't get tulsi there. Tulsis will not grow only. So what they used to do, whenever they used to come to India, they used to take um, dry tulsi twigs, like the ones we use for Damodar Aarti, the sticks. They used to collect those twigs, break them into small, small pieces, and instead of offering tulsi leaf in the bhoga, they used to offer those dry tulsi twigs, because fresh leaves were not available, and Krishna will accept. Time, place, and circumstance, very important. All the rules and regulations should be followed according to time, place, and circumstance, right? And those dry twigs will become fresh leaves just when it goes in contact with Krishna. Can you imagine? And Krishna will accept. Krishna will consider them to be fresh twigs. So what we need to understand is our intention matters a lot, right? So when so whatever pathakas we are, right, we might have committed all these levels of sins: pataka, urupataka, mahapataka, atipataka, but the transformation of the heart, purification of the heart, will happen without even our knowledge. Can you imagine? Without even our knowledge, the transformation will start happening just by offering devotional service to the Lord. We should not be spoiling the human form of life. Some people get very demoralized after studying the scriptures, Bhagavatam and all. They come to the understanding, oh, how many sins I've committed. They repent, they atone, right? But there is no repenting and atoning in the age of Kali, and Rupa Goswami makes it very clear in Nectar of Devotion. Right, and they get demotivated. Oh, I will never go back home, back to Godhead. I will never go to Krishna. All of us have committed mistakes. All of us have committed even ati pataka, the greatest level of sinful activity one can commit. But the beauty of Krishna consciousness is just like that. All our sins get crushed. All our sins get crushed. There's a shloka which says, just like how the fuel wood gets crushed when you put it in the fire, no, how fuel wood gets crushed. The same way, not remembering the number, shloka number, but just like how fuel wood gets crushed, yeah, here it is. Yeah, yathagni susamriddharchi karoti edamshi bhasmasat tata mad vishaya bhaktir udha vaishnamshi krishnasha. Right, yathagni, just like how fire burns, the firewood or the fuel wood, right, is burned to ashes by full-fledged fire. All sinful activities are totally erased when one engages in devotion service to me. This is told by the Lord himself in Uddhava Geet. Krishna, when instructing Uddhava, he says, see, my dear Uddhava, just as a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, right, all our sinful activities, sinful reactions, right, committed by my devotees also burn into ashes. They just get crushed just by doing devotion unto the Lord. Can you imagine? That's the whole beauty of this entire movement, right? That's why I told you in the beginning, for the golden age, this is a golden formula that Prabhupada has given us. This is a shortcut formula that Prabhupada has given us. All the promotional stages, we just bypass them and we go and get the ultimate destination of Shuddha Sattva Guna or Vasudeva state, right? Just by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Right, very very important. So same thing happened with Ajamila, no? So when Ajamila chanted Narayana at the time of death, Vishnu Dutas, Yamadutas, both of them came, no? So what happened? Why did he chant Narayan in the first place? Anyone knows? What pushed him to chant Narayana's name?
The love for his youngest son, Mataji.
Yeah, okay, that's the external reason. But what made him name his son Narayan?
His Sukriti Mataji.
What Sukriti?
No, there.
Sukriti, yes, but what did he do to get that Sukriti?
Before he was pious and a devotee.
Okay. But that son was born in a womb of a prostitute, no? So even she should have done some Sukriti, no? So what did she do?
There were some sages who were coming nearby house, and she fed them, and after which the sages were named as Narayana to him.
Haribol. So what happened? Anyone knows that elaborate story? Do you know the story, Prabhu?
To certain extent, actually.
Yeah.
So, from where should I start?
You start from that stage only.
Okay, like as we all know, like Ajamila, went off from his actual family into that Dasi, and she was living happily with the Dasi. Actually, at some point, the sages were all been roaming around. They were looking for a kind of Brahmanic people who can feed them. Actually, that's where the sages were through the around that circle. Actually, at that moment, the villagers said. There is a Brahmin, namesake Brahmin, but he is not actually following the rituals. But they just still pointed the way to the sages. So the sages went through, and Ajamila's Dasya, the wife, the second wife, said all the things to the sages. The sages are really happy. The sages don't know anything about the history of Ajamila actually. So they said that they will try to keep the name of the child as Narayana, and they all accepted it happily. And that's how the history came as the Narayana to his child. And at the end of this, his life, he was so attached, and due to his all the pious activities, as Prabhuji said, it is all interlinked, and that made him to utter the word Narayana.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so what happened, as Prabhu said, a sage came there to the place and he was looking for some food and, resting place. He was tired. He was a sannyasi. He was walking and he was tired. So he wanted some rest and food. So what happened? He went and asked the villagers, is there a place, Brahmana, where I can go and have something and rest, right? Some kind of seva I can take from. And then there were a few boys playing there, and they all called out the name Ajamila and said, there is a Brahmana, no, Ajamila, the great Brahmana. They told in a sarcastic way actually. But here, the today's shloka that we are learning clearly says, Pashraya, Ashraya. Apashraya means the people who have taken your shelter, we should take their shelter. Ashraya of Apashraya. People who have taken the Lord's shelter are pure devotees. And when we take shelter of pure devotees, we can go back home, back to Godhead in a very easy way. Right? Having taken shelter of devotees of the Lord. So now when the sage heard this boy saying he is a Brahmana, Ajamila, a great Brahmana of the city, he never knew it was sarcastic. He never knew it was sarcasm. So what the sage thought? Oh, maybe this is a real Brahmana, Ajamila. I'm so fortunate to go and take seva from a nice Brahmana, right? Because sannyasis prefer seva from Brahmanas only because they follow the four aggleda principles and they are devotees, Brahmajanatiti Brahmana, right? And that's what the sage thought. And because the first impression, the sage started to have a positive impact on Ajamila right before stepping into the house itself. Before even going to Ajamila's house, the stage started to have this positive inclination towards Ajamila. Oh, he's a nice Brahmana, great Brahmana. sometimes even sarcasm. See how, because of the Ajnata Sikriti, or the Sikriti, as Prabhu said, before his 25 years of age, for first 25 years of age, he was a Brahmana, he was a practicing Brahmana, he was doing devotion service under the guidance of his father and mother. Right, he was brought up in a pure Brahmanical culture. Right, even to the forest that day when he went, it was to pluck flowers for the Lord only, for the puja. Right, and but it's some bad time, and he wanted to see what is happening, peep behind the tree, and he saw the prostitute and the other man, and he got attracted to the prostitute. But actually he went there to pluck flowers for the Lord. Right, so because of that Sikriti, see how Krishna arranges. No, Krishna never forgets even small things, small service that you do. But Krishna forgets all the aparad you do, all the sins that we commit. Krishna forgets, because he's having a big heart. He's not like us. We are having stone hearts, but Krishna has big heart, flower like heart. No, so he forgets, and he remembers only the good things that you do for him. And this sarcasm happened. And then he went, when the sage went to the Brahmana's house, Ajamila's house, Ajamila was not even there at home. He had gone to rob. That was his job, no? He had given up Brahmanical culture. He had become a Mlecha, Yavana, right? And he was started to rob people, because he had 10 sons he had to take care of, like 9 sons at that time. And the prostitute, she was always behind comforts and high materialistic level of standard of living. So he had to, that Brahmanas are simple living, high thinking people, right? They will get little income and they are happy with it. But for the level of material desires their family has, that money will not be enough. So he needs to find out different shortcuts to make more money in the less time, right? So gambling and all that. So he was busy with that, and at home there was this prostitute wife of Ajamila, and she welcomed the sage. She was very happy to see the sage. Like nobody comes to their house, such pious people, right? So everyone was upset with Ajamila, so nobody used to go to their house. So when she saw the sage, she was so happy to welcome, and she welcomed him, cooked food fresh, right, and then fed him. While the sage was eating, she was fanning him, right, and then when after eating, she showed him a place to rest. Right, she arranged the place. She put one, nice mat and all that, and the sage went rested there. Right, and then after the sage rested and got up, it was time to leave. It was evening, and he wanted to leave. Right, so that time what happened? That time he noticed that this prostitute was pregnant with the 10th son of Ajamila, the last son. Right, so then he was like, oh, you were pregnant, I didn't even see. All this while I didn't even notice. I made you cook, I made you serve me and all. I didn't even see you were pregnant. Right, and then he became extra sympathetic, extra, merciful to the prostitute. And he blessed her, saying, you will, what do you want? Right, then she says, I want some way where my husband can go back home, back to Godhead. And if he goes back home, back to Godhead, she will also go back home, back to Godhead. That's the power. If a husband is a pure devotee, the wife will automatically go back home, back to Godhead. Right, that's mentioned in the scriptures. Because the wife serves the husband. Right, so she asked, I want my husband to go back home, back to Godhead. Some path, of just, moksha. Then the sage was so happy hearing that, what she asked. And then the sage said, okay, fine. You're pregnant, right? I will give your husband the intelligence to name your son Narayan, the holy name of the Lord, any holy name of the Lord. Right, and then the prostitute requests the sage, do not tell my husband that you came to our house. Do not let anyone know this, because he will not encourage all this. Right, he will not encourage all this. Then he said, okay, no problem, I will make you forget it. So the boon was that the prostitute will forget that all this happened, that the sage came, she served, because she will only tell the husband. No, if she only forgets, she will not tell Ajamila anything, and Ajamila will not know. So then the sage left, and then she gave birth to the son. And at the time of naming ceremony, the boon activated, and then Jamila got the intelligence to name the child Narayan. Prostitute did not play any role, because she is forgotten. Right, so he named his son Narayan, and he was extra attached to the 10th son, because he was old that time. He was very old, and still he had a son. Right, and all the other sons were grown up. No, this is the last son, and he was all the time Narayan, 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 Narayan. Right, and at the time of death also same thing happened. See, whatever yam vapi smaran va bhavam tam tejati ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita, Krishna says. Right, so if whole life you keep talking about something, one thing, at the time of death will you talk about something else? No, you'll talk about the same thing that you were attracted to the entire life. Right, so since he was attracted to Narayan, Narayan, Narayan so much, at the time of death also he called Narayan. Prabhupada writes in the pulpit, you can read, that Ajamila story, past time. In the pulpit, Prabhupada writes, he was freed from all his sins the moment he named his son Narayan. Again, going back to the same philosophy, apashraya ashraya, right? Because his wife served a pure devotee, they got this boon. No, whatever. So, husband, wife, they share the karma, right? If the husband does good karma, wife will also get the benefit. If wife does good karma, husband will also get the benefit. And because of this, what happened? He got the intelligence, and the moment he named his child Narayana, he got freed from all sinful reactions. Shuddyanti tasmai prabhavishvave namaha. Right? Shuddyanti. He got purified. Prabhavishnave namaha. Because the Lord is so powerful. Prabhavishnave. So powerful the Lord is. Right? Can you imagine? Just by naming the sun. And there was one story where there was one newborn child, and the parents called for a horoscope reader, astrologer, to generate his horoscope. And then what happened? He generated the horoscope and he started to read, and then he said, at the age of 28, when your son turns 28, he will be jailed. Okay, as in he will be going into the jail. That's what he said, right? He will be going into the jail. So they were all worried. They were like, what? Jail? That means he'll become a criminal. He will commit some sin. That's why he will go to jail. So they were so worried. They were like, what to do? What to do? This is a real story that happened. Okay, I'm not lying. There's a real story that happened in Gujarat, right? And ISKCON Dwaraka devotees actually narrate this in many of their lectures also, I've heard. Right, so they were like very worried, what to do. They tried to bring the raise the son, that particular boy, in all the good way possible, but they were not devotees, they were not Krishna devotees. So they never asked the son to chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only way going back home, back to Godhead. Is the only way of purification. That was only missing. How will the son become a pure, good person? Right? So it was impossible. So what happened? And then whatever they did, the son was taking the wrong path. And he did, all small offenses he used to commit. Robbing, hitting people and all that. And once what happened, the elections was going on, and he went and for money, right, he went and did some he created some problem with the counting, right, to support one particular party. And the police got to know, and they started to run behind him, chase him. He ran, he didn't know where to go, he was so tired. And Harinam Sankirtan was happening. Okay, in fact, Rath Yatra was happening. So many people were there. Jagannath Rath Yatra in Gujarat only. And he joined, he just went into the crowd and he joined. And he also started chanting the same mantra. He didn't even know the mantra. He was chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's it. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare was missing. Something like that he was chanting. And he just chanted and he joined the crowd and he was eating prasadam. He made sure, the police will not be able to see him. And then what happened? The police never left. Even after that, they followed the Rath Yatra crowd to the temple, and they went into the temple also, and they tried to search. He just hid somewhere in some corner of the temple, and then the police went. But then he was like, okay, this crowd only saved me. This temple saved me from the police. So let me stay here only for some time. Until this all thing police forget this case, I will stay here only. So if he has to stay there, he should do seva, no, otherwise they will not keep him. So he started to do seva also. He wore white and white. He started to do seva. He met the temple president and he said, give me some seva, I will do. He never revealed his past, right? And then he practiced Krishna consciousness. And then it was, I think, 3 years. He reached 28 years old. That time of going to the jail came, right? 28 years. By that time, he was initiated. He was chanting 16 rounds, following 4 agreed principles. He was doing so much seva. He forgot his family. He did not want to go back right? And 28th year, when he turned 28, the temple president came and told, we got a very nice opportunity for book distribution in the central jail, right? And you can go with a team of devotees, you can lead, you can go into the jail and do the preaching, sankirtan, book distribution, and come. He was like, okay, right? Because it was preaching, no? So he went into the jail, he preached, he did kirtan, so many book distribution, I mean, gifting the books to the jailed, I mean, criminals and all. And then he came back, right? So what do we understand from this? Anyone? What happened?
We are not sure about the actual plot. We just think about the result alone. That's the moral.
Okay, that is one way of understanding. Next.
So we leave it to God actually, so that He will take care of it.
Yeah. Okay. Others? Anyone?
As
What?
per the prediction, he visited the jail and he came
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Yeah. Next.
So, Madhaji, my understanding is, come what may, karma will happen. As in the whatever we are supposed to experience as per our karma will happen. But the moment we surrender to God, it can happen in the most unexpected ways. When he was expected to go and be in the jail for doing some papa and suffer,
Yeah.
but he has turned it out into something totally different. So that's the power of surrendering to the Lord.
So it is said that fate gets changed. Astrological predictions never go wrong. It's a science. Astrology is a science and it can never go wrong. Prabhupada mentions in many purports, right? Astrology is a pure science. It's a Vedic science. It can never go wrong. But you can make it go wrong. You can change the predictions just by surrendering to the Lord. Can you imagine? So the fate, I mean, he was supposed to be arrested and he will be arrested no matter what. If he was not a devotee, he would get arrested. Maybe he would escape from that one case, and when he turns 28, maybe he would commit a bigger sin, and red-handed he would get arrested. He would become a criminal and enter the jail. But just because he took Krishna consciousness, right, fate gets changed. But we should have that much of faith, right? He never bothered. He renounced his family, right? He renounced everything. He followed the four regulative principles. No money. I mean, for money he did that election wala whatever. But after that he never bothered about money. He got 3 times nice prasadam, Rajbhog prasadam, everything, and he was happy, right? So what happened? He never bothered about his material comfort. He never bothered about himself, right? He was just engrossed in seva. So sincerity is what Krishna says. Sincerity. You should not have personal agenda. Okay, I will become a devotee, I will do this, I will do that, I will earn this much, I will donate to the temple. You should not decide how you want to offer service to the Lord. That Krishna will decide how you should offer, whether you should earn an offer, or whether you should renounce your job and become a full-time devotee in the temple, or whether you should preach, or whether you should cook for the Lord, whether you should dance, whether you should sing. That Krishna will decide, right? So sincerity is very important. Because he was sincere, Krishna changed his fate only. Krishna consciousness will change the fate of a person, right? And like this we have many examples actually. Right? So Krishna consciousness will purify antar bahya, right? Antar shuddhi, bahya shuddhi will happen, internal and external purification, and the fate gets changed just by surrendering to the devotees of the Lord. So whom did this boy surrender to? He surrendered to the temple president. He was again a devotee, right? Apashraya ashraya. Right? Having taken shelter of a devotee, all the shuddhi happens. Shuddhyanti tasmai prabha vishnave namaha. Right? So very, very important, that just by surrendering to devotees and offering, devotional service, we become freed. And also that kind of purification happens on our own approval. Like, say you have a maid servant at home and you ask her to clean the room. She will clean the room. Okay. And before throwing out all the junk, she will ask you, this is waste, right? I can throw, right? This is waste, right? I can throw, right? And only if you say yes, she will throw. Otherwise, that junk will remain in the room. If you say no, keep it. Yeah, it's broken. Still keep it. I like it. I'm so attached to it. So she will be like, okay, it's broken, it's waste. but you want it, I will keep it. Right? Same way, when you chant, when you offer devotional service to the Lord, every material dirt or the quality that has to go out, right, the bad quality, it'll ask the mind, it seems. I want to leave, can I leave? If the mind says, no, no, I know you're bad, still stay. I'm so attached. Like anger, lust, right? Every time you chant, I have experienced many times where every time I chant, after chanting, I feel very peaceful for 15-20 minutes. After that, if some things don't go according to our ways, frustration starts, right? Anger starts. And that time, that quality will ask the mind, because we are so happy and peaceful, the anger will say, I want to leave. No, don't get angry. Sometimes we feel not to get angry. Ayo, I don't want to get angry. I don't have that much of energy to get angry. Right? But if the mind says, I know your anger, I know you're bad, but you stay. We will endeavor and go and, get angry when things don't happen. Right? And we get angry. So, or we do something bad. So what happens? Without our approval, purification will not happen. So that is where mind surrender will come into the picture. You might be chanting for a long time, but if the attitude, the surrenderance is not there in the mind, then Krishna will not be able to do anything. Right? So the mind has to be surrendered. The mind has to consciously take the decision. No, I want to give it up. I want to go back home, back to Godhead. Right? So this is very important. So ultimately what happens is surrenderance is very important. And if you surrender to a devotee of the Lord, then effortlessly things will start happening. It will happen. It will take time. It will not happen instantly. But because of the, because of our non-surrendering attitude, it will take time. But it will happen. Someday or the other it will happen. That's very important. Right? Yes, any questions? Anything you want to add? Human form of life, we shouldn't miss. Prahlad Maharaj says, no, Kamaram Acharet Pragnu, Dharman Bhagavataniha, Durlaba Manava Janma, Tadapi Adruvam Arthadam. Right? The Adruvam, it is temporary, the human form of life. The body is temporary, but you can make it Arthadam. You can make it purposeful by using your body in Krishna consciousness. Although the human form of life is Durlubha. It is very, very rare to achieve. Yes, anyone have any questions or anything you want to add? In fact, Narada Muni is the best example. No, he converted so many people into devotees, like countless. Valmiki. How did Ratnakar become Valmiki? Valmiki was a what? Who was Valmiki? Who was Ratnakar?
He's a thief before he became a saint.
Hunter. Okay, hunter. So Hunter became a devotee just by taking apashraya ashraya. Right? He took a shelter. He took shelter of the great devotee like Narada Muni, and he became Krishna. He became a devotee of the Lord. He became Valmiki. Right? Next, who else became? Who else who was very sinful like Kirata and all of them became devotees? Any other examples? Jagai Madai, very nice. Again, they took shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. He was a pure devotee of the Lord, Balram. Right? So they became devotees. Very nice. Other examples? There was one more hunter, no? He used to half kill. Huh? Mrigari. Very nice. What was Mrigari doing? Anyone knows the story?
He was hunting the animals and leaving them half dead and watching them struggle.
Yeah. Right? That is more sinful than killing, it seems. It's said that when you make them suffer in that state and you see that suffering and take pleasure, that is even more horrible than killing that animal in the first go itself. Right? And how did he become devotee?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Narada Muni only came and told him, no, Mataji, you are leaving them half dead. It is such a big sin. Go and ask. And he says, I'm doing it for my, bread and butter, for my protecting my family. He said, will your family people take part in this sin? He said, then wait, I will go and ask and come. Family people said, no, we will never, no, why should we? We did not tell you to adopt this path, so we are not a part of your sin. Then he got the realization. Then he came and asked for forgiveness to Narada Muni. And later, when Narada Muni came with which rishi, I forgot Mataji, that time he was, jumping and walking because the ants were there with his, that cloth, he was wiping out the ants and then he was walking. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, very nice. No, so what happened? Mrigari, Narada Muni said, as Mataji said, will your family take the karma? No, he said no. I mean, he went and asked and they said no. Right. So then what happened? He came back to Narada Muni and said, for them only I'm doing all this, but they are not ready to share my papa karma. Only I should take the punishment. So I don't want to do all this. I don't want to continue. What is the way out of it? Right. And then Narada Muni says, okay, I will tell you. And then he preaches, he says, you chant this particular mantra, you sit and chant. So Mrigari sits, chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or whatever mantra in that age. And